Where are we at with the voice actors going forward? Because I know there's been a lot of issues with the voice actors for games, being on strike.
There's actually been an update. We missed it on the last show, but as of September 25th, there's been a very big update as far as the SAG-AFTRA Strike is concerned. We had covered it a few shows ago, SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, especially voice actors, video game voice actors, going on strike because of working conditions within that. And we highlighted a few of the problems that the video game voice actors face as far as like vocal stress, maybe having to do motion capture stunts that they're not prepared for, not knowing the games they're working for, so they can't option that as far as like, is it a recurring character? Is it a major franchise? Can they ask for more money? That kind of thing. So there has been an agreement since this has been going on for almost a year at this point. Let me just kind of bullet point this.
Has it been a year?
It started October 21st, 2016.
It was when the official strike happened?
They've been having disagreements since then. They've been discussing it since
But the strike's only been like...
The strike's been... They reached a point where they struck.
Yeah.
And they've since called off the strike because they've reached an agreement. So they've released agreement as far as payment. Which, there's numbers here. $75 payment on the initial session and totaling $2,100 after 10 sessions worked, which is a big increase for them. See, bonus payments, significantly larger now. We also, the existing initial payments, I had it right here.
You lost it?
I lost it completely. Essentially, they've agreed that while the person doing the voice, most times they try and keep that person from knowing so that there's no leak. The big thing about it is information about these voice parts leaking, and then industry
finding out what games coming out. Okay.
So we find out what games they're working on because of it leaking. So while they're still trying to keep it so that the voice actor themselves doesn't know, the agents will be able to know certain key pieces of information, as in, is this a major franchise? Are they reprising a role? Is this something that would require more money? There is a stipulation that they should the voice actors themselves need to make themselves more available for additional voice work, background voices, other things to fill in, because most times big name notable voice actors, of which there aren't many, are refusing these roles that are needed to kind of fill in the spaces and sell the world.
Like the smaller roles.
The smaller roles, they want the big roles, and so it's very difficult to fill the small roles that kind of support the major roles. They're still discussing something about vocal stress as far as that, as well as the stunts and any kind of physical thing that would need. So they're still reaching agreement on that, but they feel like they've made enough progress at this point that they're going to come up with a plan, which is better than no plan that they had before.
Yeah.
So the strike has been called off. That is the major thing that you guys need to know, and that is the thing to be excited about, because that means that a lot of games that have probably stalled in development are getting back on track. And so we should see another glut of games coming out. Maybe this holiday season, maybe early summer season next year. We're going to see a lot of really big games probably getting back on track, which is a very exciting thing.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, because, the gaming industry has been very hard to budge on things. And the actors have managed to get some sort of budge from the gaming industry. I mean, how many times have we heard about horrible work conditions in gaming studios?
Essentially, yeah. And usually you hear about that from a development side of things, either the artists or the coders who having to work grueling hours and go into crunch time to get a game out on some deadline. And that, it's not their fault. They're doing as much work as they can all of the time. But this is a creative process, and the only thing that really make a creative process reach any level of polish is to give it a deadline and enforce that deadline. And depending on which developer you are, which publisher you are, those can be rather grueling. So hearing about that from a voice actor standpoint, somebody who's not really involved in a more technical aspect. It used to be video games, you could almost obviously tell that they were just acting with using voice actors who were just people who happened to be in the office that day. And this is like the early stuff, the Deus Ex and Resident Evils, and I think the Resident Evils are
Like
most
the
notable.
first Resident Evils, yeah.
Yeah, the first Resident Evil was most notable in that the reason that those people are the voice actors were because they were the only people who could speak English that happened to be there that day.
Really?
And that's why they got that job, those roles. So that moving into now, this is becoming a more professional industry where we know the names of the people that we're hearing. Steve Blum, David Hayter, what's his name?
Nolan North.
Nolan North. There was another guy, I just saw him at Salt Lake Comic Con. I can't remember his name anymore.
He's that guy?
Or maybe it was Nolan North.
That guy.
He's that guy. Yeah, I mean, these people show up. Jennifer Hale. These people show up in every video game ever because they are popular. The voices are clear and concise and, easy to manipulate and make them sound like the characters that they are. And it's either that or they bring in celebrity guest actors who get paid more because they're just for their celebrity status.
Well, here's the other thing too. With the celebrities and everything is they've gone from, when we were in the industry with the actors, there was mocap. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's just motion capture, but now it's become PCAP, performance capture.
Yeah.
Because you just have like stuntmen for like motion capture for like your basic stuff, but now you're having the line blurred where it's the entire performance, the face, the body, and everything, not just...
It's technology they pioneered with LA Noire was the major title to come out with that kind of thing, where they were just scanning the face.
Yeah.
And being able to deliver the expressions as they were delivered by these actors.
Well, the big place where we saw it was Planet of the Apes in Hollywood with Caesar.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis.
Most anything Andy Serkis has done.
He's actually corrected people before and go, no, it wasn't motion capture. It was all of me. So it was a performance capture. So it was P capture.
P capture.
Yeah, PCAP now.
Benedict Cumberbatch did that for Smog.
Did you say Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah.
Cumberbatch. No, Cumberbatch.
Okay.
Yeah. Bandy Snatch Cumberbun.
Sure.
Bimble Snort Crabapple thing.
You failed.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
No, he did that for Smog. There's rather famous footage of him on the internet acting out Smog, and people are going, that looks absolutely absurd, but then they see Smog and it's like, well, that's exactly
how it's done.
That's how it's done. That's the translation there. And yeah, I mean, it's really impressive, the kind of technology that they've been putting forward out there. And so this is almost becoming it's a performance versus a voice actor. And I think that also sparked a lot of pressure to get this kind of strike and get this kind of information taken care of, is because there are still roles out there that are stylized, cartoonified, that don't need motion capture, don't need facial capture, but they do need a voice. Yeah. The voice is what brings them to life. And when you hear these voices, if you don't know the names, when you hear the voices, you go, that's that person. That person brought that to life. There's a wonderful documentary, I might still be on Netflix, called I Know That Voice. Mm-hmm. And they go and talk to like Charlie Adler and the guy who's the voice of Zim, and the guy who's the voice of
who's the voice
Bender.
of Snake?
David Hayter.
Yeah. He's, you can always tell it's like, that's Snake.
That's Snake. You know it's Snake. I actually saw David Hayter do voice acting for a con panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or John St. John.
Yeah, John St. John, another big name. If you don't know it, Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
So the thing is, these actors are bringing these voices in, and then they're still expected to come in for low pay, especially when they're reprising a role. Like John St. John, probably he was for a while there. You could call him up and ask him to record Duke Nukem saying whatever. 25
cents a word.
And it was 25 cents a word.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And so because that's the kind of money that he would make just for doing the Duke Nukem voice. Like that's. And this is not just video games. This is just across the entire voice acting industry, having to come in and work for this while they love the job and they love putting it into these characters. Yes, vocal stress is a problem. The hours are a problem. The fact that they can't leverage reprising a role or being a popular character for more money is a problem. When actors can do that in movies, like think about all the Harry Potter movies. Every single movie, those kids made more and more money because they were coming back and reprising those roles. Yeah. Most TV shows that you've known that have been like, why would they cancel that? It's because the actors have been doing this for seasons upon a time, and at one point in time, the money to pay them to keep coming back and doing the role is just too much to continue making that story.
Yeah, it's like Iron Man, when the first Iron Man movie was done, he got brought in for that at $250,000.
Yep.
And after that,
well, how much did Robert Downey Jr. get paid?
Yeah, it was like $250,000 for him to do the original Iron Man. After that, it's been buttloads of money. That's kind of like Harrison Ford came back to do Star Wars and requested a butt ton of money to do that.
Yep.
Because he got ripped off in the first three, basically.
Yeah, it's not readily available on my internet search, but I'm pretty sure Robert Downey Jr. got paid something in the millions.
Yeah.
Multiple, probably double-digit millions, just for his appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming. Mm-hmm. And that's not an Iron Man movie. Iron Man features as a character in that movie. I mean, doing an actual Iron Man movie where he does most of the work on that thing, doing an Avengers movie where he does most of the work or he's in most of the scenes, he probably gets paid a lot of money now. But voice actors get paid the same regardless of the role. And in some cases, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Or how long it was going to take. And in some cases, development would drag out and they'd have to do rewrites or re-recordings. And for a job that they thought was just going to be a couple of weeks worth of work, next thing you know, 6 months have gone by and they're getting called back to do more and more and more with no rest, no breaks, no extra pay. So this strike was necessary, and I think it really does carve out a niche for them.
Well, I hope it does. Yeah. I'm glad it's finally settled, or somewhat settled.
Somewhat settled. They're working around. I'll keep tabs on it if more news comes out of it. But at this point, nothing to worry about, folks. Your games are coming back. The voices you know and love are coming back, and hopefully they'll be a lot happier now.
Maybe a few more leaks with it all too.
Maybe
because now they're going to be able to decline roles too. Like I think like the voice actor did Kellogg was just like, I didn't realize that's what I was doing, and I think he was slightly upset to be.
He was a key character in the narrative of Fallout 4 and didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like slightly upset to be associated with that character or something?
He was, because of the actions that the character took. The voice acting, if you listen to character's audio and take it out of context in Fallout 4 and don't know what Kellogg does, he doesn't know what he couldn't have known what Kellogg did. And Kellogg is the guy who kills your significant other in the beginning of the game. Spoilers, kind of. And you track him down and kill him. And the guy actually had problems with that. That's the other thing that they had in the negotiations, is that they need to know if the role is going to contain any kind of sensitive information or the role contains any parts that the actor wouldn't be uncomfortable doing, anything that is of a sexually aggressive nature or anything of a racially aggressive nature. So you can't keep them in the dark about something that they would find offensive. And it's a way for them to turn down roles that they don't want to support anymore. There's a rather famous story of J.K. Simmons when he was doing the recording for Portal 2. He played Cave Johnson.
Cave Johnson.
Yeah, and there was a point where he actually affected the development of the game because Cave Johnson does most of his voice acting alongside a counterpart in the story called Caroline, who ultimately ends up becoming GLaDOS. And at some point, there was a point where Cave Johnson demanded that if he wanted to be put into a computer, and later on demands if he can't be put into a computer before the technology is perfected because he's dying, then he wants Caroline to go into the computer instead and continue to run operations in his place. And there was a point where she was recording lines saying she did not want it, that they were getting ready to do it anyway, and she was just like refusing, and Simmons refused to record the lines opposite to that. And so they had to change the storyline, essentially.
Yeah.
And so then it got data mined and pulled out of the game because they still had that information in there. And that's how it came to light that this was what was planned, and J.K. Simmons refused to do it. So that's something of him being more involved in the recording process than most voice actors get to be. And they
at that point it was like late in the game, and he probably already did like 95% of the lines, and it was like, nope, not going to do that one.
Not going to read this.
So being more, because they put it out and then they don't necessarily give them all when they start doing the voice acting. So that's part of the problem with it too.
Definitely,
that is a problem.
But that is the game industry, folks.
It's getting better.
Hopefully, it's getting better.
Keeps getting better.
Well, I think that's it for
this week. I got nothing else.
I'm pretty
like I said, Evangelion, but
we'll get to that.
Nah.
Yeah.
No.
On a slow news week, we might come back to that.
That's another time. We're trying a new format. So
Escalafone?
No. You're not allowed to boof me at the
Cell
last.
Saga.
Ranma 1.5.
Anyways, this has been the GACC podcast for the week. You can listen to us in audio format on iTunes and on Google Play in the podcast section. You can find us online on VidMe, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this around, and we will see you next time.
Take care, folks.
Bye.
Fucking
He did not see that one coming.
fucking troll. Goddamn fucking troll.
You saw that.
Because Picasso's not black. I see how you are.
You're gonna get us in trouble because you know I'm gonna use that.